Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Coaches and Content. I'm your host, Zach Scholl, and today we have a special guest, like we always do. We have Mary Zargarian coming to us live from an hour outside of San Francisco, you said, right?
Yes, an hour east. Yep.
What town are you in?
It's a little town called Brentwood, which we laugh because a lot of people who are in California think Brentwood and you think LA Brentwood, which is like multi-million dollar mansions. No, we're in Northern California, Terry Farm, Brentwood.
I didn't know it was Brentwood. I'm familiar with Brentwood. I used to work for a real estate coach. You might have heard of her, Krista Mayshore.
Yes, I have.
Do you know Krista?
I don't know her personally, but I have heard of her.
Yeah, she's like a regular celebrity in Brentwood from what I've heard. So that's awesome. I didn't, we talked a little before, but that's funny to start it off on that note that you're from Brentwood, you live in Brentwood. Um, that's awesome. So guys, today we're going to talk about, I've talked about kind of how to run your business and grow your business, but we haven't really talked about working in your business and systems and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So let me give a quick background on Mary. Mary is a certified online business manager and the CEO of Zargarian Consulting. You can learn more about Mary by visiting Zargarian.org, which is a great idea for that website. Simple and easy, just your name.org. So you obviously have your stuff together if that's your URL, right?
Yes.
So I'm curious. I've interviewed certified coaches. I've never interviewed a certified online business manager. So what does that mean to be like a certified online business manager?
Yeah, there's a few different programs out there. So, an online business manager is somebody who can step into your business. Most of our businesses these days are online businesses. If you're serving clients who are not co located with you in your general area, wherever you're based, then you're an online business. And an online business manager can come in and help run the business operations, all of the processes, the systems, and the people that it takes to run that business and serve people on a nationwide or global scale.
Interesting. Okay. So and you had to take some courses or how do you get certified?
Yeah, I went through IAOBM. So it's a program, an international association for online business managers. They had a 8-week program that I went through, and then you go through a rigorous like 1 week testing period where they give you case studies. You're getting like, for me, I was getting case studies delivered to my email inbox at like midnight on some nights, and you have to respond within a certain amount of time and be very thorough in your research, your recommendations to that client, and then a panel actually reviews your submissions and says, yes, you passed and you're now certified, or no, you have to wait until 3 months later to retake the whole process.
Why were they sending them at 12 a.m.? Are they trying to keep you on your toes or like were they in another country?
Well, we had global participation through certification week. So every now and then they would send an email that would be at an opportune time for someone who's in Australia, for example, not necessarily in the San Francisco
Right.
area. But also, these are real life scenarios. So I often
Mm.
will get emails from clients nights and weekends with things that pop up in their business that we just need to be ready to respond to.
Yeah, I think they wanted to see how bad you wanted it and keep you on your toes.
Yeah, it definitely was a test that week.
So guys, so for Zargarian Consulting, they partner and service providers to save them time and stress so they can grow a sustainable and scalable business. They offer a wide array of services such as product planning and management, system designs and implementation, team leadership, online business management retainers. So we're going to get into, exactly how Mary can help you and what they do. But before I do all that, I always like to start at the beginning of the entrepreneurial journey. So you have an interesting story that's a similar story to a lot of coaches and entrepreneurs I've talked to is people who work a corporate job for a long time and they just decide to start their own thing. And you have a similar story to that. So I would love to hear about your journey of I don't know. Did you say you worked 20 years or 22 years corporate
Yeah,
job?
22 years of corporate human resources for primarily for the tech industry. I'm here in Silicon Valley, so some big names that I know people have often heard of. Uh, Should I throw some names?
Yeah, sure. Why not? It'll add to your
Why
credibility. Yeah, why not?
not? Netflix, Apple, most recently was Workday. And last summer, I finally said, you know what, I'm going to step away from my corporate career and pursue entrepreneurship for full time. Prior to that, I was doing 3 years of being a certified coach myself on the side, doing career coaching, life coaching. Um, and it's funny because when I finally did step away from corporate, you would think that I'd go full time into coaching. I actually, like, that same day, I said, you know what? Actually, my area of expertise is in operations and program design and like systems and processes. And as soon as I said, I'm going to do this, but do it for coaches, like my business just took off.
So what happens after 22 years where you're just like, I had enough of this corporate, because I'm not really a corporate person myself, but I've heard things. So what kind of happened? Is this something that was building up over time, or did you hit a breaking point? Like what happened after 22 years where you decided to branch out?
Um, I had actually a really great career. When I left corporate, I was designing leadership and career development programs for a global audience, like pretty big populations of people. The thing that really struck me was I think the pandemic escalated it. I was working from home when the pandemic hit. My husband and I both started working from home, and we had a 3-year-old at home with us. And so I was having to balance my son at the same time of being in back to back meetings all day. Like, as a salaried corporate employee, especially with a global like employee workforce, you're not just 8 to 5. And so I was working nights, weekends, whenever I could squeeze in time while having to tend to a toddler who can't, at 3 years old, they can't do anything for themselves. Um, so it was a lot. And finally, last year, we were at a point where I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this full time. I'm going to do it on my own terms. Um, I know it can be done because I was doing my coaching business on the side and I could see how other people were having success with having an online business full time. And I just knew it was what's right for us. So I did it and have no regrets whatsoever, never going back.
Yeah, it's amazing how, like all the stuff that happened, it was rough, but I think a lot of people like you, this changed their lives where they're like, we realize how valuable time is. And, going in an office every day, why do that if you can work from home and do your own thing? So it's always amazing to hear like how COVID has changed people's lives in that way.
Yeah, it's interesting because pre-COVID, like, yeah, there's a lot of moms that deal with mom guilt, right? You go into an office, you do your, but you have, I don't know if it's work life balance, but you have work life separation. And then all of a sudden, COVID just made you realize, okay, well, if I have to choose because I have to do everything all at the same time, what is my choice? And my choice wasn't to just completely ignore my son. He was now seeing what work looks like for us. And he was at a point too where he was like, I want to be a grown up and I want to just be on a computer or a screen all day. And I was like, this is rough. Like, I don't want this for him. So I made the choice, and now I work while he's in his programs or in school. And then when he's out of school, I don't work as much.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had your coaching business on the side, but so you're not technically now you're consulting, coaching, like are you technically a coaching company now?
Now we are not. We are primarily a consulting business. However, I'm starting to get more and more into coaching. For a while, I was doing a mentorship program and had I call them mentees as opposed to coaching clients that I was working with for 3 months. I just wrapped those up and I am starting to do things like I have an Asana boot camp coming up where I'm going to be doing 5-day training for people and offering like group coaching support to them after. So I'm pulling in my coaching experience because I love helping people overcome those challenges, those blockers. But my agency, we're primarily consulting services focused.
So when you left the corporate world, you started this Zargarian Consulting where it's more with systems and helping people with their business, right?
Right.
Um but then you're also coaching people on systems and stuff like that, because I don't think people realize there is a lane for coaching and there is a lane for consulting, because it's like some people want to be taught how to do stuff, and some people want them to do it for you. So I think it only makes sense to kind of offer both, right?
Yes, there's definitely some people who are ready to have someone step in full time. That's why we have our retainer services. Like, I just want someone to come in and do the work for me.
Right, right.
We can do that on retainer or on a project basis. And then we have other people who are like, no, I actually just want to learn and grow and be able to do this myself. Or I have someone on my team who I think I can groom to be able to do this for me. And that's where we do the coaching and the training for them.
Right. So kind of in a nutshell, you have different services and products that you offer, but kind of explain in a nutshell, what you can offer, because it's more so freeing up a CEO's time or a business owner's time to like grow their business, and you're helping with the systems and stuff. So if you could kind of in a nutshell, I guess explain like what you guys offer.
Yeah, and I like to pull in this acronym. I cannot take credit for this, but apparently I'm the one that's like out there talking about it widespread now. Systems is actually an acronym for saving yourself stress, time, energy, money. If there's
Wow.
anything in your
I like
business,
that.
isn't that a great
Wait,
acronym?
can you say that again? Let me hear that again.
System, saving yourself stress, time, energy, and money.
That's
I'm
awesome.
just gonna let that sink in. I know it's great. I think I heard it on a podcast episode myself, like maybe 4 years ago or so. And it just stuck with me. And now that's the basis of how we position what we can do for people. So think of a system as anything that you're doing in your business that needs to get done, but doesn't really drive you, give you energy, motivate you. So there are repetitive things in your business that have to get done, like processing payroll if you have a team, like posting social media content or email newsletters, those things. There are things in your business that you need to do to run the business, like onboarding clients, serving your clients, taking them through like an invoicing process, for example, things that have to get done in order for your business to be a business and not a hobby. But again, that probably don't really excite you.
Right.
And those are all of the things that our team can step in and help with. We have a couple of clients where we actually step in and we help manage their whole team of operations. And so they might have anywhere from 1 to 12 people on their team. And we step in to hold the group meetings, be able to provide one on one support to their team, help with any systems, automations, or challenges that are coming up with their systems and processes. And our team can step in and just help make your business run smoothly so you can focus on showing up and serving your clients best.
Yeah, I think it's such an interesting niche because there's so many more businesses popping up, and a lot of times it's a small team, and maybe they don't have the money to hire people, or they don't have the time to do it. A lot of times CEOs are idea people, creative people who might not be grounded in reality. They have all these big ideas and these big dreams, but they don't have time to focus on the payroll and stuff like that. So that's why it's interesting, that you kind of fill that niche and that void.
Yeah, and it's something that a lot of people need, but they need it at different capacities in their business, depending on where they're at, like maturity and scale of their business. So that's why right now we can do project partner support, retainer support, but by the end of the quarter, we're going to be launching like DIY templates. If you're somebody who's like, you know what, just give me the kit so I can go and like use it and do it myself, we're going to have that available for people. Doing a lot more coaching and training, like we mentioned, and then getting very clear on what kinds of projects we can come in and do fast and pretty simply, for our team because we have the experience and expertise with it.
So what kind of there's so many types of businesses out there. You really don't realize it until you hear of some. So what kind of businesses do you work with?
Right now, our experience, oh my goodness, we actually just signed a lavender farm.
A what? A lavender
A
farm?
lavender farm. So they sell lavender products off of their farm. They also rent out event space for people who want to do weddings or photo shoots on their farm. They do tours of their lavender farm and operations. So we just signed them as a client. We have a nonprofit group that we're working with, and we're providing training support and facilitated conversations for them. They're using Asana and they're trying to figure out how to use it to do organizational goal setting. We have a couple of clients who are coaches. We have fitness coaches, spiritual life coaches, a branding coach. So there's pretty wide range of the type of businesses that we support, but it's primarily because of the type of services we offer can be applied in different contexts.
So I mentioned there's so many different businesses out there you don't know what exists, and the Lavender Farm is like a prime example of that. So I would love to kind of walk through, how did it come about? Like, what were they looking for, and what solution or problem are you solving for them?
Yeah, for that specific one, I know I was actually shocked and surprised when I saw that come through too. So I'm excited that we're actually going to be starting that work with them. They found me on Instagram, of all places. And it's so funny because when I was a coach, I was showing up every day on Instagram trying to sell my coaching services. And that's never where I was ever closing leads into my business. But now people are finding us there and reaching out. So we're helping them take all of their workflows and processes for pulling leads into their business, converting and onboarding clients, and then the offboarding process. We're going to be setting that all up in HoneyBook. They use HoneyBook today, but probably not effectively, and they want to make sure they're automating as much as possible through those workflows with their CMS tool. So that's exciting. A business that I never thought would pop up on our radar. And I'm really excited actually to jump into that and figure out what's new or different about that type of business.
Yeah, I'm curious. Do you know was it through a hashtag, or do you know how they found you through Instagram?
I don't, and that's definitely be part of our follow-up conversation. I'm glad she did. They're not too far from Brentwood, from where I'm based here in the Bay Area. And so I don't know if they were looking up local hashtags, looking up HoneyBook specifically, because when we do our social media content, we will try to mix up the type of hashtags. Not everybody knows about online business managers, so that's not a hashtag that I think people will find us in.
Right.
But they're probably looking up like HoneyBook support or I don't know, like business operations or Bay Area, for example, and finding us through that.
Yeah, the main thing of this podcast is like helping coaches get clients through content creation. And I don't always talk about that, but every conversation and content always comes up. And so here's another example of I try to teach people that if you want to get clients and attract business, you have to create content. And I didn't even ask you to talk about that. It just naturally came up. So I know that you make a lot of your own content as well, right? You have your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your YouTube. Like, what's your content creation process like?
Yeah, I have been creating all of my own content in my business, and actually just recently took someone from my team who did a marketing audit for me. She does it for all of our clients too, but she did it internally, and I loved the work. I said, "Hey, would you mind being our social media manager?" So now she's helping me create that content, but it is us understanding what kinds of questions would our target audience have. Like, what kinds of problems are they likely out there Googling and trying to find answers to, likely watching a YouTube video on how to solve it for themselves, and then taking those problems and making sure we're creating content around that. Making sure we're constantly showing up to engage. We have a Facebook community that we let our members in the community vote on a topic, something about the business that's coming up for them. And then we spent a whole month like blowing that topic up, creating posts, guiding them through some prompts on reflecting on what does this look like for me in my business today? How can I improve it? And then I do like 2 trainings in that Facebook group every month centered around that topic. I do what I call an office hour, where just show up, ask any and all questions that you have. And then I do a training very specific to that topic where I will share my screen. We'll talk through a system on how to help support a process in their business and make it more simple for them. We spent 1 month doing like annual planning. I think it was back in December. We did annual planning. So I guided the group through an annual planning process to get ready for 2022. And we're going to do that again. We do it every quarter. We just remind them, like, now's the time you should be thinking about these things in your business.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love the, reverse engineering of like figuring out, who's my audience and what their problem, how can I solve it? So that's super smart. And then also asking your audience what they want. I have a mentor who always tells me that, like, why waste your time doing all this stuff when you can just ask them what they want and then give them what they want, which is what you're doing.
Yes, and don't assume that your audience on every platform wants the same thing. That's one thing that we've taken away from this. Like our Facebook group, a lot of them are like hands-on. Like, give me the templates, give me the tools, teach me how to do this. People on our Instagram account, for example, they said, I just want someone to come in and do it myself. Like, do it
Right.
for me. So everybody's a little different, and recognizing that to make sure your content is very specific to what they want.
That's such a good point too, because people are on different social media for different reasons. So if you're on YouTube, you're probably either trying to learn something or be entertained. I don't think anyone's going to Instagram to learn anything. And like you just said, they just want you to do it for them. So people are just, scrolling, vanity scrolling, whatever. And Facebook's kind of a mix of the both. So you're right. You kind of have to know where your audience is and what they want.
Yeah, and we do repurpose a lot of content across the platforms, but anytime we show up to give different type of content, like our LinkedIn business page is going to talk more about expertise and authority that in the systems we provide, right? Our Facebook group is going to be more templates and prompts on how to reflect and apply this yourself. Instagram is, hey, look, we can do this. And then they show up and make it easy for them to book time with you and book a sales call.
So what's your can anyone join your Facebook group, or how does your Facebook group work?
Yes, anyone can join the Facebook group. They go in there, and like I mentioned, at the end of the month, we have them vote on a few topics that we notice are coming up as themes throughout the month across the platforms, and they choose one, and that's the topic we dive into the next month. This month, we're talking about automations in business. What are our top automations we recommend? We did last month, I think, was take me through the design process for I have an idea. Now I want to make sure it's an offer that I can design, automate, get out into the world and start like profiting from. So we took them through like a 5-step design process for that. So the topics are aplenty.
So I'm gonna put all the notes, guys, for Mary, her site, and her group. So what is the name of the Facebook group so people can check it out?
Simple Business Systems. So it's facebook.com/groups, Simple Biz Systems.
Okay, and then guys, you could check the notes for that. I'll have Mary's LinkedIn, YouTube, everything. We're kind of jumping around here, but I'm glad you mentioned automation, because that's a huge. I'm a systems person myself. I'm an automation person myself. I got into automation more the last couple of years, and it really will change your life. So you already mentioned you have 5 tips for automation. So I'm curious. I think there's a lot of business owners who don't even know where to begin. Like I had a interview on here with she's my dietitian. She has a small business she's working on, and I'm trying to teach her how she can use automation to free up her time, and she doesn't have to do all these small little tasks. So I think automation is something still kind of new and people are kind of learning to do. But what are your tips for business owners as far as getting into automation?
Number one, especially if you're a solopreneur, right? You're still in business for yourself. You don't necessarily have support or a team helping you. See automation as a way to delegate. Like, see the systems as a resource in your business who's just waiting on standby for you to give them a job to do to support you best. I think when you do that mindset shift, like automations seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Why would you hire an assistant to sit around and wait for you to give work to them, right? You want them to be proactive. You want them doing things for you. Um, I know a lot of people are hesitant on investing and upgrading their systems to get those automation features, right? I know with the sauna specifically, you can't necessarily use the free account to do rules, which is their automations. You have to pay for premium, which I believe is $10 a month. So worth it, especially if you're in business by yourself. $10 a month. Think of that as I'm paying someone $10 a month to help me with repetitive tasks, help me streamline and organize my business, remind me when things are coming up that need my attention. That I mean, when you think of it that way, it's a no-brainer. So first and foremost, our top tip for automation is like it's a worthy investment, and your systems are already there and waiting for you to delegate to them. The next one is anything that's repetitive in your business, like sending a welcome email or packet to a new client. Um, I'm trying to think of something else off the top of my head. All of those repetitive tasks, like if you're somebody who constantly is putting content together and planning for it, and you're taking multiple steps to do so, whether it's keyword research, drafting out the content, creating the graphic, those steps can be automated because they're repetitive. At least the task creation part of it and reminding you which steps you need to go through. So all of those types of automations, we show people how to set it up in Asana, Later. We use Loomly in our agency for social media planning and content. ClickUp, you mentioned before we got on this call that
Yeah.
you're using ClickUp. All of those things. ClickUp, such a great tool for automations if you're using it for project management or collaboration.
Yeah, I think you just don't know what you don't know. So people don't even know what the simplest stuff, even just like using something like Calendly, which a lot of people don't know about, where you can set up a calendar, set up times and dates where you can meet with people. Rather than booking stuff manually, you could just send them your Calendly. They pick their time and day. Then you can set up automated follow-up emails to remind them when to meet up, things like that. So I think that people just don't know what they don't know, and they don't know how the simplest things could really be automated, right?
Exactly. And I actually have a funny story related to Calendly. So even back when I was in corporate and I was creating these leadership development programs, oftentimes I would pull on executive coaches, leadership coaches to come in and support our participants. I was working with one coach at the time, and he didn't have a Calendly type system in place. So he would reach out to our participants, give them times that worked for him, like the email exchange back and forth. What times work for you? Oh, that doesn't work for me. How about this? Oh, I'm on East Coast time. You're on Pacific
Right.
time. Um, and at that point, I was like, we have to streamline this. Like
Right.
this is our program experience. I recommended Calendly, and actually, I think we helped set it up for him, and now that's what he runs his business on. But even back then, I was helping to support coaches to say, hey, there's tools out there to support this, so you don't have to deal with the back and forth. You can just show up, because it'll send you a reminder, it'll send them a reminder. Show up and serve, show up and coach your clients and do what you do best.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a bit of a hypocrite because I'm not using Calendly for these interviews anyway. Like when we scheduled our interview, we did a little back and forth, but systems are amazing because you might spend an hour up front building it up, but then you'll save yourself so much time and money in the back end. So I think
Yes.
people just have to realize that it's like a little bit of dedication and time up front, but it'll save you so much more time in the long run.
Yes, and a lot of these systems have free accounts, have free things that you can do with them. So it's not like you have to invest every time you realize that there is a new process that you can pull a system in for. Like Calendly has a free version, ClickUp, Asana, all of these things. There's free options out there just to help get you started.
So, like with this Calendly situation, did a light bulb, or did this happen multiple times where a light bulb goes off in your head where it's like, I'm teaching this person how to do it. I could just start my own business of doing this type of stuff for people because it kind of sounds like this is what you do for your clients now, stuff like that, right?
It is what I do for them now. So I would have multiple experiences like that when I was in corporate. And even myself as a coach, I spent a lot of time networking with my peer, like coaching community. Other coaches who were out there just getting started in their business, or maybe 1 to 3 years into their business and finding success, but trying to figure out, okay, now I'm ready to pull in the right systems and process. For me, it felt natural. And so they would often come to me and ask questions like, oh, what kind of system should we be setting up for this? And what does your workflow or your emails look like for this? Can I borrow that or can I use it? Can you help me with it? And so that point when I left corporate in that very same weekend, when I told my peer coaching community, I said, oh, I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start doing this for other coaches. I immediately had like my biggest sale week in my business. Referrals are coming into us often. I'm getting referrals from the OBM directory and community because I am certified and registered there. But a lot of the referrals that are coming to me are coaches who have heard that I can come in and help do stuff for them, like the processes and system setup.
Oh wow. So I guess so your first couple clients though, they came from a coach's Facebook group you were in?
In a mastermind I was in with other coaches. Um, I volunteered to host a training in one of the sessions because everybody on our mastermind call was talking about how frustrated they were. And we had someone who said, "Oh, I invested in Kajabi because our business coach recommended Kajabi. And now I've been spending months paying for a system that is overwhelming for me. I don't know how to use it." Even though Kajabi is a example of a system that can help you do everything in your business, like landing pages, emails, calendaring, it's still very overwhelming for someone who's not tech savvy. And so I did a training on a comparable system to that that's kind of meeting people where they're at today. And that training just took off. Everybody resoundingly was coming back, like asking questions, saying, "This is what you should be doing." And I'm glad I didn't ignore it.
Yeah, that's another form of content creation right there. And just I think the thing I find with a lot of these interviews too is somebody that's always willing to give back and give educate people through content, and then it always comes back to them. And that's like a prime example right there.
Yes. And I did that my last few years of corporate was like training and creating development programs. And I love it. I enjoy sharing like what I'm learning. I'm naturally curious and I like to read and take trainings and learn myself, but not for the sake of holding on to all of that information that I've gained. Is how can I then turn around and teach other people and just get my name out there, so they know that this is something I can help them with.
Yeah, that's a common theme too, is that people like helping other people and they like to learn and then they like to teach people what they've learned. So that's like it's funny. This is probably my like 15th or almost 20th interview, and it's I keep running in these same themes with these types of people. So it's always funny to me when everyone in this kind of field has the same mindset.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing about coaching, right? If you don't like to learn, if you don't like to help others learn, then what are you doing in coaching?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so as we wrap it up here, I'm just curious, what are like, I guess, some tips for, somebody might have started a business. They don't know anything about systems. Excuse me. They don't know anything about systems, automations, they're starting from scratch. So what
Yeah.
advice do you have for maybe somebody who's just starting out? You know, how can they involve systems or automations, or where do they even begin? You know?
Yeah. I would say start with something that you're already doing. You're already doing systems and processes in your business today. It might not be on a computer, it might not be on your phone, right? Like I'm looking off to the side here at my desk and I have a day planner that I write everything into to keep me focused through the day. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a computer, but recognize what those patterns are that you do regularly to do your business, to run your business, and think, is there possibly a system, software, something that I can pull in to help me automate this so I don't have to do that every day, right? I can focus on, oh, I just log into Asana and it tells me what are the three things I need to focus on today and do that. So I would say start there. Start with what you're already naturally doing, maybe outside of a application or software, and pull it in that way.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think a lot of people might have systems that they just don't even realize it. And I know a lot of business owners who aren't digital yet. So they are still writing things down or whatever. So that's a good point too, is you have to go digital.
Yes. And not everything has to be done online, but recognizing that you already have systems in place today. You already have processes, you have natural routines that you're doing, and just trying to find a way to make that easier for yourself. So you're not spending all of your day focusing on the process and more looking at the results and how you're serving.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking out time to do this. I wanted to give you a chance to just, talk about your business again and, plug all your social media, your website, all that stuff. So let's let people know like how they can help you and where they can find you.
Yes. So Simple Business Systems is our Facebook group. Again, I'll provide the link so you can put it in the show notes. On Instagram, we're Team Zargarian, or you can do Zargarian.org and check out our website and all of our services.
Awesome. So Mary, I appreciate you coming on. Guys, just a quick reminder that we release the episode once a week on YouTube and all podcast platforms. And if you want your own podcast or YouTube show, that's what we do. So reach out to me today. I'd love to help you produce your show. Mary, again, appreciate you coming on. Any last words? Anything else you want to let the world know?
No, just thank you for this and keep it simple. Just start,
Keep it simple.
yeah, and keep it simple. Yeah.
Keep it simple. And remember, what was the acronym for systems again?
Save yourself stress, time, energy, and money.
There you go, guys. That's why you need to create a system and implement it so you can do all that stuff in the acronym. So thanks everyone for watching and listening, and we'll be back next week with another episode.